An early education scholarship program is lending Southern Nevada families a helping hand with free tuition to nearly 20 preschools right here in our valley.
New at 6, our News 3's Alexis Gorey explains how families financially impacted by the pandemic can apply for a chance at one of 500 scholarships.
Apply for a
Having
chance.
two, obviously, at home that are the same age, it's been challenging.
Shannon Polly and her husband had dreams of sending their 4-year-old twins Emerson and Levi to preschool. But like many, the COVID-19 pandemic hit their household hard. Both were let go from their jobs last year, and while they're working on rebuilding, preschool still didn't seem to be in their cards.
But I don't think financially we would have been able to do it.
That's until a friend told Polly about Nevada Ready, a pre-K program. Funded by the state, United Way of Southern Nevada selected 19 early education centers from North Las Vegas to Henderson to provide more than $4 million in scholarships. State legislators and stakeholders advocated for the fund, sharing how important early education is.
Research is showing that young children, their brains are developing at 90% by the time that they're 5 years old. So if we can get these little guys, strong, high quality programming and help them be ready for kindergarten and hopefully to become successful lifelong learners.
Since 2018, the program has helped more than 2,000 families like the Pollys.
The opportunity for them to learn and to develop socially is so important.
Registration is ongoing, but there are eligibility requirements. Children must be 4 years old by September 30th, and parents can apply to see if they're eligible at one of the 19 selected schools.
It is based on the family's income. We have been able to work with families based on their circumstances.
For Polly, the scholarship provides one less financial burden for her family.
We're saving quite a bit. I mean, anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a month.
And a chance for her twins to regain confidence after a year shuttered indoors.
And they could not be happier. I don't even think they said goodbye to me on the first day. I'm the one that cried.
For a full list of schools and how to apply, we have a link on our website, news3lv.com. In Las Vegas, Alexis Gorey, News 3.
Oh, that was interesting. Stop the share. And I'm just gonna go back in a little bit and find one actually for the requirements of Head Start, but we'll just wait for a little bit.
Services can help mitigate some of these negative effects. 1. Federally funded early childhood education (ECE) programs are only able to serve a small portion of children who experience homelessness. Taking action to mitigate the impacts of early childhood homelessness is critical to ensuring all young children have the opportunity to thrive. Early childhood homelessness children under age 6 total population to 224,164 estimated number experiencing homelessness 320,015 or 1 in 11 children related factors. Families experiencing homelessness, whether chronic or episodic, often face other barriers to affordable housing. By understanding these related challenges, states can create sustainable and proactive policy solutions that better address homelessness in their communities. 33% of families with children under 18 have a high housing cost burden. 49% of children under age 6 had no resident parent in the U.S. labor force. For early childhood education for children experiencing homelessness, children under age 6 experiencing homelessness, 4% served by Head Start, Early Head Start, or McKinney-Vento funded ECE programs in 20,185 622, 3% Nevada 226, 1% 19,167, 96% Head Start, Early Head Start, McKinney-Vento unserved. For detailed information on indicator definitions, data sources, and methodology, please see Appendix 3. Notes. 1. McCoy Roth, M. McIntosh, B.B., and Murphy, D. 2013. When the Bow Breaks: The Effects of Homelessness on Young Children. Early Childhood Highlights. 3. 2. U.S. Census Bureau, Population Division, June 2019. SC-EST 2018, Age, Sex, CIV, Annual Estimates of the Civilian Population by Single Year of Age and Sex for the United States and States, April 1st, 2010 to July 1st, 2018. https://www.census.gov/programs-surveys/popist/technical-documentation file-layouts/2010-SC-2018-H6-CIV.pdf. 3. Calculations by authors using methodology established by Bossuck et al. 2014 and 2018 data from U.S. Department of Education and U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. 4. Data from the Annie Casey Foundation Kids Count Data Center. 5. Data from U.S. Department of Education 2019. Consolidated State Performance Reports, Part 1 and U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Administration for Children and Families. Retrieved July 23, 2019. 2018. Program Information Reports. Data on children under 6 experiencing homelessness served through federally funded childcare and home visiting programs will be collected for the first time in 2017. U.S. Department of Education, Office of Planning, Evaluation and Policy Development 38 Early Childhood Homelessness, New Hampshire, 2017-2018. Early childhood experiences with homelessness have long-lasting impacts on a child's well-being. Access to educational services can help mitigate some of these negative effects. 1. Federally funded early childhood education (ECE) programs are only able to serve a small portion of children who experience homelessness.
All right, that was very clear, right? Now let's go look at something else. Oh my goodness, what's it gonna show us? There's only 2 pages here. So in those 2 pages, I don't see anything. Let's go. 2020 census. Explore census data. We're still sharing. Nevada. All right, let's see. Nevada's education. All right. What does it give you? It gives you school enrollment. Place of birth, no. Geography, mobility. Women 15 to birth. That matters, no. Yeah, let's look at this one. And I was just trying to look at Nevada stuff, but it's not really scrolling. Let's go back. Hmm. Hmm. Topics. Education. Education. Search. Education attainment. But look, they don't break it down by ethnicity. Is there going to be more in here? I don't see any more data. Anytime they don't break it down by race, they break it down as poverty. And look, you ain't got nothing down here. No margin of error, no, okay, let's see. Margin of error. We still ain't getting nobody in the poverty realm. Let's see what they have there. They don't have no results there. Let's just look at Black children. Okay. They got no notes on you? Mm-mm. Look, I don't think we're in here. A lot of people use a computer. Mhm. Mhm. Poverty, 12% poverty. Mhm. Oh, look, only 27% get this bachelor degree. Well, what happened to the high school? I don't even. Some college, associate degree, bachelor's, graduate professional. That's what they're doing here. School enrollment, nursery or preschool. They claim they have 71%. Who's in there? View the options. Who's in there? Hmm. This is all the information that you use when they get ready to write a grant. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And see, copy that. Let me see what happened. Now. Can't do anything right now. Mm-hmm. 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 Out of there, out of Nevada, really? Damn, they have 11% of people with no health coverage here in the hottest state of the world. This is crazy. It was down over here somewhere. Income and poverty, employment, education, race and ethnicity.
I received mail from the U.S. Census Bureau about the American Community Survey. Is this a legitimate government survey? Do I have to respond?
Yes and yes. The American Community Survey is part of the decennial census program and reflects the nation's need for annual and local information. And just like the census, your participation is required.
But is it safe to respond?
Yes, when you provide your information, we are required by law to keep it confidential and safe. All Census Bureau employees are sworn for life to protect your personal information. We use technology, statistical methods, and physical security procedures to keep your information safe. And by law, your information is kept confidential. We can't even share it with the Internal Revenue Service, or IRS. It's real, it's safe, and it's your opportunity to help your community.
Okay, but there are a lot of questions here. Why do you need to know all of this?
Your answers are very important. As our nation has grown, so too has the need for information. These timely data enable us to meet the demands of our rapidly changing society and stay competitive in the world marketplace. This survey is the only source of annual data on social, economic, housing, and demographic statistics for small areas and small population groups. The statistics help determine how more than $675 billion of federal funding is spent on infrastructure and services, from highways to schools to hospitals. So if you get the American Community Survey from the Census Bureau, please fill it out. We thank you for helping make your community and country a better place.
Well, that was wonderful. Let's just stop it. Okay. Stop sharing the screen. And let's pause the recording for a little bit. Shit. I'm going to share the screen again. God dang it, I didn't do it. And the percent of happiness doesn't end up with you. How is it in a state where they have Title I and they have lots of federal money? There's a limited amount going to the African American community people, and they just don't say anything. But I had my last straw when they submitted the American Rescue Plan without the involvement of African American people. And I was just frustrated with that. But guess what? Couldn't say anything about it, couldn't do anything about it. And this is just what they do in America, as we are just not free. And what does freedom mean to you? Well, quite frankly, it should mean something to you, because what we're seeing is it doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. And as it does not, the reality is that there's just few opportunities for you as an American citizen to have access to your full potential. So if your full potential is never developed and never, invested in, then the other thing continues to happen. That means the harvest continues to happen. And what is the harvest? Well, boo, don't look far. Look in the mirror. As a harvest has become our people ever since my whole entire lifetime. I'm 63, and I've seen nothing in America that promotes equity and access for all children. I understand Head Start. Most people do not understand Head Start. But I can tell you, in the understanding of the services from 0 to 23 or whatever, the federal government has aligned dollars to ensure access happens for all Americans. But if Americans in your local community do not share information and failure has happened, well, I'm just trying to understand what we're really talking about. Because in America, it's only you. And as it is only you, the responsibility for the outcomes of the maintenance is on you too. And most people have never, ever even went to a public meeting. So therefore, when we're talking about all these local control issues, locally, what the hell's going on? I'm trying to fathom, I'm trying to understand. As in America, we are all free. And that means you're free to sit your behind back and not do any of the work, and then not have an expectation of what? Not have an expectation of anything. As in America, it is truly only you and just you, period. So life has to do with your ability to gather information, they call it trials and tribulations, because the Lord really has work for you to do, or the universe has work for you to do. And sometimes you just have to join in the work. You get me? I don't think you do. Because as I see it in 2021, when the rescue plan has already been turned in on April the 21st, no doubt, that was my youngest son's birthday. But Nevada submitted the American Rescue Plan to the federal government. And I'm trying to participate in the local groups of the African Americans that have managed to organize here, but they are very, very tight. And they really don't want your public opinion, because it's really hard for someone to allow you to talk and to just ignore your hand as you have something to say. But whatever they're saying, it becomes more important. Do you get me? Even if it doesn't mean anything, because they get to control the meeting. Well, in these meetings that I have, I get to control them. And I'm looking at the lack of the maintenance of effort for the children who look like me. I come in the door questioning what the hell is going on and what's gone on for so long that the superintendent of public instruction would feel wonderful about creating a donor's choice program. It's called Donor's Choice. And, look it up, you'll find it. And then they have an early childhood education committee, but I haven't found that committee yet. So therefore it doesn't exist. But when I call Head Start and they tell me they go up to 28% of the poverty level, and then they would announce today, August the 18th, 2021, about the $4 million going into an early start program and which schools they selected. I wonder how they selected those schools. But then they're biased and not discriminatory as they give these federal dollars as scholarships and how they work around the workaround, because it's just called the workaround. And Homegirl said it on the little news media. She says, we can work it out. Extraordinary circumstances. When real life, what are your extraordinary circumstances if in your local community, most people don't have childcare, but are expected to work? And most people don't have a placement or support to ensure that their children are learning because they have to work. And then when I understand that they're busing children and how far they bus them, and to hear people talk about 2 hours on the bus, well, I know through federal government, whatever busing regulations, that it's 50 minutes, no more than 50 minutes, you get me, on a bus. I mean, how does a child function 2 hours to school and 2 hours from school? And then I have to question as to all of the involvement that should happen locally. Their parents don't have transportation, so can't get over there where their child is failing. But the mere concept ideal is that African Americans on the whole, on the regular, have little or no access to the maintenance of effort or the outcomes of the conversation that would lead to the outcomes. And the real deal is, who are we in America? And that's what you need to understand. We are aligned with nothing, as our people are allowed to go to the penitentiary under false charges and then be exonerated, but then not connected to any money. I mean, let's get this straight. George Floyd was accused of passing a fake $20 bill. Now, all of that happened, I'm trying to understand the intent from the physical force of the non-compliance issue. But then let's go to compliance, shall we? The word is comply. And as an African American or formerly enslaved African American who received the freedom and then had to double down on the responsibility on Juneteenth, as the Congress passed a national holiday for Juneteenth. And then I got to ask you, what difference does it make if you do not understand local control and you have not voted and you do not choose to vote, just like you do not choose to go to any of these meetings, just like choice is a relative thing, you get me? People choose what the hell they're going to do, and then they just do it. And people are choosing what? My people are choosing to stay home and struggle. You see, the struggle and the understanding of individuality is that we are all born and the universe has given you something. And what will you give in returning? I'm just looking for the return on investment, as I do not see the minimal dollars able to achieve the required access levels that are aligned to the goals or services that are provided here in Clark County. And the mere fact that a child could be documented as a habitual degenerate. Now, get what I just said, a habitual degenerate, and then removed from their home school of a gifted and talented placement. And I said, oh, hold up. Wait a minute. What did I just read? And then as I started reading more and more of the regulatory guidance that is provided by Nevada Ledge, I saw that they would commit to doing the work up until they ran out of funding. And then there is no requirements. And I'm saying, well, what can I say? And then to go to board meetings and hear people come up and share concerns, but then inform the governing board that they would not be submitting a plan. And they thank the governing board for the waiver. I said, waiver? I just want to know who got the waivers. Let's put this question over here. Who got waivers in 2021? You know, some waivers were issued from the Department of Federal Government, the Department of Federal Education, as anybody can go and see the state plans that were submitted. That's why I was said, when I went to the American Rescue Plan online at ed.gov, I was shocked to see Nevada had already implemented their plan. But I want you to know that everything Nevada submits to the federal government, just go into the PDF doc and go search the document for how many times Black Americans or African American students come up. And what you will find is it will document that there are issues of willful disobedience, willfulness, and that they have not submitted to the federal government this program that they're operating called the Harbor. And I'm sure the Harbor is a wonderful program when it comes to providing mentoring for young people who have no role models in their home. And the importance of role models in life is that you aspire to be something different than what you are. And the aspiration means that once you know who you are, boo, then you're supposed to act on that. So if God gave you a gift and the gift is singing, well, invest yourself in the creation of the songs, boo. And if your blessing is a musical instrument, then understand that talent regarding that musical instrument shall carry you through life. Develop that talent, boo. But if you have not developed your talent by the third grade, in many of the districts across America started to socially promote children as the not age appropriate curriculum was even being offered. And then when you understand that we used to have so many vocational programs that actually taught a trade and not the academic structure of reading, writing, and arithmetic, that was highly sought over, you know what I'm saying? And so now we have programs that would provide these services, but then we get to choose who gets to have access to that, right? Every program in Nevada. But I was so confused as when they were saying the Harbor offered a scholarship to families and parents. Well, I wanted to know what that scholarship looked like, especially when I asked the data. Well, as for the district, well, how are those children being supported in the Harbor? As the requirements in the local school site would have meant they were required to provide access to that child. But in 2004, I want to just inform you that Hillary Clinton, well, what'd she do? Well, Hillary just happened to write what was it? IDEA 2004. And every child who qualifies for these services under special education basically has a free ride if the parent understands the power in the law. And when you hear people who understand what the law says, they don't have a problem regurgitating what their rights are. So understand me when I'm saying I understand my rights and I know who I am. And in 2021, I plan on being nothing less than who I am, which is a free African American who is 63 and who graduated high school in 1976 and happens to still be able to rock it. You get me? Ain't interested. What I am interested in is all of this money that is paid to people who are providing federal education, and then people do not understand the complaint process is against the state, but it is with the Department of Fair Housing and Employment, or perhaps it's with the EEOC office, or perhaps it's with the Department of Justice. Just going back and listening to the Nevada's annual plan of performance and how they were corrected in areas of oppression or violation of due process rights for students with disabilities. And they were told and they promised to, all of a sudden change their behavior and start implementing data. But somehow you can't find the data until the end. And then when you talk to the person who is over all the Part B money, now go online and read up to, on ed.gov and then look at what the Part B money is supposed to do. And then this person tell you that the state is only required to provide a sampling of data to the federal government. And I am here to tell you, perhaps the requirement to provide that sampling of data is minimal. But when the feds come in to look at your shit, I hope you have the data that demonstrated that what you were doing with those dollars was an effective use of the public services that they too are providing, as the federal government supports the state in the action of providing services to the people who are generating the money, i.e. there is a census. And go to the census website and understand what the census is supposed to do and providing the support coming back to your local community in which they're supposed to be providing these services. But when you look at all of these services that are provided to the people who look like me, and see, that's me in the middle there. And I was very, very young then. And I am very, very seasoned now. But what can I say? This is America and it's only America. And we're going to be who we're going to be. And that's just a reality. The real deal is that you need to understand that through your trials and tribulations and whatever you chose to take on as a journey, because, it's the journey is long and hard. Just because you decided to do what you've been led to do, don't take it in negative. Just do what you got to do. You just start listening to people who have understood who they were and decided to just act on that. And that's what I've decided to do, is act on my knowledge. And I just have to tell you that way back when I was the chair of the District Advisory Committee for Title I and Compensatory Services, well, it was called the DAC. And then I also had the opportunity to serve on the DAC, and that was the Disabilities Council for the city, and where we went out and basically talked about access issues and restrictions. And when they decided to do a new, building, like when they built the arena out there, they had their coordinators, their disability council and their EEOC, for access issues. They had them go out and then just check it out to make sure they were not putting a burden on the disabled community. Because, that is really what life is about, is what the city puts on the burden on the individuals and make it their personal responsibility. But I'm just trying to understand what it is I see here because I'm just totally confused. Because Joan Ebert, she just was going to put that $8 million into the Donor's Choice Program. And she did the presentation to the elected officials. And then, but when I questioned what was it, and she really couldn't explain, they informed her, well, you don't get to put the federal dollars to a program that all people don't have access to. And then to see yesterday, I guess they had a meeting with communities and schools. I went to their website and I listened to the video about how successful communities and school are employing people as contract and placing them in schools to help support and promote equity and access. But I'm going to tell you one thing you need to understand. If by the third grade, your child is not reading at grade level, then all of the stuff that happens after the third grade is irrelevant because they cannot engage in the current placement of where they get promoted to the next year. And each year they will continue to get promoted with those negative grades. I mean, those letter grades of D's and F's. And guess who still gets paid, boo? Everybody who gets a goddamn paycheck that is paid out of the federal coffers or the state coffers or the city coffers or the county. I don't care. But we're talking about tax dollars and how those tax dollars affect the people who are forced to utilize the basic services. Because in America, life is all about what you're willing to do to ensure that access happens or whatever you feel that you've been driven to do to be able to do that. And I can't believe I've talked for over an hour. I'm going to have to get off and share my stream because I don't have a whole lot of followers yet. But this is Darlene Anderson, and I'll say like, subscribe, and follow me. I have a podcast on Anchor. However, I do have one of those. Let me see. This is my podcast when I find it. Information. Okay. This is my podcast. I'm going to copy this. Oh, how do you do that? Don't want to lose that. No, I don't want to do that. Let me go to the website. I think, no, I don't think you can see, but I just need to copy this link and then shrink that and then close this and then go over here and then Command V and then push return. Oh, I didn't want to give the census data, but that's a good thing to click on. I don't think you can click it. But the real deal is that in the year of 2021, we, the people, must understand that we have to stand up. And what does standing up mean for every person who was born in the chocolate hue, in the color, or color, the colorism? I mean, because it's a race. And it's a race between the races of people. And we have been prohibited from coming to where the table when it comes to talking about the lack of maintenance and the lack of outcomes in your local community. And I'm just talking about what's going on in 2021 when they could submit the American Rescue Plan without the Black pastors of Las Vegas, Nevada, whatever, or Lavosky, that, Black organization that wants to work in the local schools. But when they would give federal dollars to a group of women who just saw a need and fit the niche, and then they get a paycheck. Well, the paycheck is for you, for them to provide services to you. And if they can't reach you, it seems to me that they just don't give a damn. And because you don't understand this one critical thing I'm going to tell you is that George Bush changed the laws of the federal requirements as to if the people in the state do not choose to stand up and file a complaint against who? The state. Then the federal government has chosen not to engage in mandatory correctiveness of inability to access basic services. I mean, it sees the data, but it ain't gonna do shit. Cause guess what? You ain't doing nothing. And if you nothing from nothing leaves nothing, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have something. Hey, and we ain't got nothing. As I look around and keep on trying to have this conversation, and I gotta tell you, Dr. Mike Barton, I met with him at least twice, but I send him information, and I've met Brittany Miller, and I've met, you know, I've met the people who are making the decisions. What I don't understand is why the federal requirements for the dollars are not being met. And the most affected community that's generating the dollars is not mentioned by the targeted support that they plan on giving those community people, as they don't plan on giving you shit. Not when they can take the Head Start dollars, the early start dollars that were written in the American Rescue Plan, and offer it to people as scholarships. Scholarships. And these scholarships, they were going to help them qualify for. So, I mean, what do you get when I go into these schools where these poverty children are attending? And I might ask the parent, well, what about Head Start? And they say, well, what is that? Or you go to a public meeting and someone who is sitting on a board somewhere, somewhere, appointed person, believe me, representing, and say, oh, Head Start's for white people. I said, really? I wasn't aware. As the requirements under the federal government for Head Start are very rigid. And there's lots of opportunities for the policy boards or the PACs, which are supposed to have a parent advisory committee within the Head Start program that helps advocate for local training for families. And basically, it's the policy board or the parents who get to choose who they want to work with and who the PAC would pay dollars to help support the training. I mean, that's what local control is all about. Utilizing your voice to make a difference. And I damn sure plan on utilizing my voice to make a difference. Why? Because in the word of e pluribus unum, out of many, there's one. But out of one, there'll be none. So who will you be in 2021? Please like, subscribe, and follow me. I'm on Anchor. I'm on several different streaming, what do you call these apps? And I understand how to work some of them, but not all of them. But understand me when I'm talking about this. These social programs that are being run in the public sphere, well, they don't have the right to discriminate against anyone or target anyone that could be seeming to be a hostile environment in the net when they refuse to let you participate in the dialogue or creating concept ideas because they don't want you talking to the people. So, the song is Wake Up Everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more time for playing games. It's time for really thinking ahead. But when we're not controlling what's happening to the early start, and we cannot ask the state to provide the data that demonstrates that the children in our local community who are generating these dollars have access to the same resources, as they place those resources so far out of reach that it's not benefiting the African American people. And when they would be comfortable with the positioning of the 88% of children in juvenile hall, but then they have no evidence of the curriculum that's being offered to these children, as they don't have any evidence of what would be required under, what do you call this, a manifestation hearing for children who are being moved. That's a requirement under the federal government. But if you're not doing these things, then you're violating the due process rights of the children who are not under, or whatever, they are under the protection of the federal government. And because I can point it out, well, hell, something needs to change. So the word is e pluribus unum. On many there's one, but out of one there'll be none. Who will you be in 2021? Please like and subscribe to my podcast on Anchor, the Parent Empowerment Hour. Who will you be in 2021. Please like, subscribe, and follow me. And subscribe, and share.